without a program, right? Another gorgeous day. Get your sodas ready, and you got the program, the pencil. You're ready to go for Mets baseball here in Florida. Also, some autographs before the game if you're lucky from Pudge. From Digital Domain Park in Port St. Pick Sports presents New York Mets baseball. Today it's the Mets taking on the Washington Nationals. Hi everyone and welcome to the broadcast. Alongside my partner Keith Hernandez, I'm Kevin Burkhardt. The Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner will join us a little bit later in the broadcast. So it's the Mets and Nationals today as we get closer and closer to opening day. Now just 2 weeks away, Keith. And things are starting to really take shape for the Mets. Namely their starting rotation. Chris Capuano will get the start today. The lefty's had a good spring so far. He will be the number 5 starter in this rotation. But what about this Mets rotation overall, Keith? How are they looking? How are things taking shape as we get near opening day?
Well, we got the 3 holdovers from last year. Pelfrey, with the injury to Santana, moves into the ace role. He won 15 last year. You got R.A. Dickey, who was outstanding, and the young Jonathan Neese, the left-hander. Now, with Young and Capuano being brought in, the veterans who've had arm problems, this I thought was a good move made by Sandy Alderson. It's a good gamble. These guys have pitched well in spring.
You know, and it's funny when you talk about some of the other spots in the Mets. Starting rotation at least is kind of set right now, but there are other spots available, and this is a team that can actually have 2 Rule 5 players make it. I'm talking about Brad Emus at second base and Pedro Beato into the bullpen. We'll get a chance to see the righty today.
He's going to pitch today. He's a hard sinker ball pitcher. He's thrown outstanding. He's only got Double-A experience, but in Double-A last year, I think it was in Bowie, he had a terrific season, and he has thrown outstanding this spring. And there's 2 spots available in this bullpen final selection, and it's up for grabs, and he's got a great shot to make the ball club.
And there's about 4 or 5 names that are vying for those 2 spots available, so it's a tight race. And for Beato, this is special. He grew up in Queens as a Mets fan, so it'll be a good day for him to be on TV back home. Mets and the Nationals. It's Chris Capuano against Staten Island's Jason Marquis. First pitch coming up next. Mets baseball is brought to you by Lexus. Escape convention in the radically new Lexus CT Hybrid. By Sports Authority for all things baseball. Head to Sports Authority, all things sporting good. By Jeep and the new 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at mbusa.com. Mets single-game tickets for the 2011 season at Citi Field are on sale right now. Tickets start at $10. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Get your tickets today. Take a look at who's pitching today. We mentioned at the start of the program, Chris Capuano starts. We will see Pedro Beato later, the Rule 5 pick. Francisco Rodriguez again, and Oliver Perez again. Back-to-back days, he estimates keys for the first time since he was 16 years old.
Well, Perez is on the periphery here, as strictly as a left-handed specialist. He's throwing sidearm, as we saw yesterday. Against the right-hander, Kev, he threw more over the top, and what did he do? He walked him on 4 pitches. He seems to be throwing more strikes sidearm. Burdax has an outside chance of the left-hander making it. We're talking about the 2 spots available. And also, Michael Connor has impressed. And here comes the umpire, so we got some time to kill up here.
Yeah, the umpiring crew today will leisurely stroll onto the field. We'll have some baseball, maybe a little fishing. I think I saw a platypus. I'm not sure. First pitch coming up next.
A putty cat.
Follow the Mets with MLB.com @bat11 for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Get spring training scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and more. Text @bat to 31826 or just visit Mets.com for all the details. Starting lineup for the Washington Nationals, brought to you by Nissan. Get to the Nissan Now sales event for the Nissan you want. Michael Morse is a behemoth. He's got 5 home runs already this spring, and 3 of them have been right here in Port St. Lucie. He's had a great spring. He's going to be the starting left fielder for the Nationals this year at age 28, getting a chance to break out.
And your Mets defense brought to you by Volkswagen. You can see the big Daniel Murphy here, part of that mix for second base. The concern about Murph is his defense. He's made a couple errors in spring. The big question is, how much do the Mets need his bat to be in that lineup on a daily basis? A lot depends on what if Bay has a comeback year.
Chris Capuano making the start today. The left-hander will be the 5th starter in this rotation. 32-year-old who see the numbers in the spring, and last time out he pitched in a minor league game, 5 shutout innings in that game. He's looked good, keeps the ball down low for the most part, and the thing is, Keith, interesting with him, and we talked at the open about this bullpen and how it's going to work out. The Mets have some good decisions to make. They've had a lot of good arms in spring, trying to narrow it down, that bullpen competition. Well, they're not going to need a 5th starter. They've got a couple off days to start the year, so Capuano could be in the pen for the first 8, 9 days of the year, and that could change how they make some decisions down there too.
Well, they can always make a move when he has to get thrown back in the rotation, so it's not as if the Mets are going to go north, start the season with only 1 left-hander in the pen. And I just think any bullpen has to have at least 2 guys out there that throw from the left side. So maybe there'll be just the 2 left-handers and the rest will be all righties. So a lot of competition in the bullpen for 2 spots.
You know, it's interesting. You're talking about Daniel Murphy in second base, and I think the comments that Sandy Alderson had with us yesterday say enough, where, Keith, you asked a question about, defense up the middle, and he said, look, I don't think that we're in a position to not have offense at a position. So that would lead you to believe, with Castillo being released and Justin Turner having options left, that Daniel Murphy and Brad Emis are fighting for this job, and it certainly signs are pointing to Brad Emis in the lead. Emis, by the way, is playing second base on the Mets split squad today, so he is playing the position, just not on television. As we get set to go, fantastic weather yet again. It's been just a wonderful spring training down here for that in the Grapefruit League season. Capuano will face Jerry Hairston Jr. of the Nationals. The first pitch is inside to Hairston. You've got Hairston playing center and Hairston playing center today. Jerry Jr. playing center for the Nationals. Scott is playing center for the Mets today. It's Nick Evans who will get the first chance of the ball game and puts away Hairston, and there's 1 down.
Well, we talked on the open, Kev, about Chris Young and Chris Capuano, the 2 new entries that are going to fill the rotation out, both off arm problems and both feeling great. I mean, Chris Young's had a terrific spring, and Capuano says that he feels wonderful, and that's a nice pickups by Sandy Alderson.
Keith, it was the theme as Danny Espinosa, the switch-hitting second baseman for the Nationals, takes strike 1. It was a theme for the Mets offseason as they signed a lot of pitchers their second year after a major surgery, and trying to get that bounce back year, and all similar. Capuano and Young both came back and pitched last year at the end of the year to kind of get that out of the way. Taylor Buchholz was in the same situation, hoping to get that bounce back year on a short-term, non-committed type deal and get some good production out of these guys. And for the pitcher, it makes sense too, because you're trying to kind of get back and get back to your career, and you come to a very pitching-friendly ballpark. So it's kind of a good marriage.
Well, Capuano is 32 years old. Was a National League All-Star in 2006. That was his best season. He's not overpowering. You can see the radar gun.
A lot of changeup. This one right, and Evans can't make the scoop. So Wright rushed the throw a little bit there with Espinosa running, and that'll be an error on David.
Well, I think David, he backs up on the ball. Either you got to charge real quick and get the short hop. I still think David, if he's on his backpedaling off his heels, he still had time to plant and throw across the diamond. And this has been a problem with David defensively. His accuracy in his throws. A lot of his errors over his career have been on his throws to first base.
Well, Keith, there's been a lot of talk, and different coaches for the Mets have handled it differently, as we see Ian Desmond stepping up to the plate his sophomore season for the Nationals. First it was Sandy Alomar Sr. working with David, throwing over the top as opposed to sidearm, and then last year he kind of went back to throwing sidearm more. Is it just a matter of setting more with him? Is it a matter of rushing sometimes? What do you see when he does have those type of throws?
It's all about the footwork, and David doesn't have the strongest of arms, and that's why I think it gets him in trouble when he has to play a ball deep in the infield, and he's off balance. He doesn't have a really strong arm like a Ryan Zimmerman at third base who can get away with throwing off balance. David can't get away with throwing off balance.
Espinosa's got good speed. He stole 20 bags in the minors last year. Capuano has one of the better pickoff moves in the game. So good little cat and mouse at first base, which we'll watch with Desmond at the dish.
I do think, getting back to David and the infield in general, I think Ike Davis over at first base has really been a good addition, because he plays good defense. He's got good hands over first base. He scoops well, and that gives the infielders confidence in their throwing.
There you see the giant Mike Morse on deck.
He is a big guy.
Stood near him on the field when they're taking BP today. I mean, you just feel like he is just a monster.
Then you got that big kid outfielder down with the Marlins,
Mike Stanton.
Oh boy, he's another monster.
And both guys, not shockingly, hit balls to the moon. Capuano keeping a close eye on Espinoza as he works 1-1 to Ian Desmond here in the first inning at Digital Domain Park. That's in Nationals today. Catches the corner, 1-2.
Capuano knows how to pitch. We've seen already in this first inning, if the right-hander's up here, he's pitching inside, and he has to pitch inside to make his changeup, which is his out pitch, more effective.
Another chance for Wright. Gets the lead runner. Murphy doesn't have a chance to throw to first there. Murphy has had rarely the opportunity to turn a double play. That time would have had no chance to get Desmond.
Agreed. And David does that tap, that little habit he has with the double tap, that single tap after he catches the ball, and that's a valuable split second. I don't think they would have turned two. Kid almost broke his ankle on that slide. Jeez. Get the sliding pants on, do it out in the outfield and practice.
Keith, how about Murphy just not throwing that ball there? You know,
he didn't have a shot. It's the right play.
Well, I meant in a good way. He's been trying to get a double play ball all spring, so he showed some judgment and not just throwing it over there to throw it.
Well, today's a good game. You got a sinker baller out there. It gets a lot of ground balls in Capuano, so hopefully we'll get a lot of chances to see Daniel turn two.
Mike Morse, see the numbers this spring. They're outlandish. He's got 5 home runs, 3 of them against the Mets here at Digital Domain Park. And the feeling is that this could be the breakout time for Mike Morse. See, he's got that strange batting stance where he holds his arms straight out. How difficult is that?
That is so accentuated. I mean, here are the home runs. Nope, don't throw it. Don't throw it. Don't throw it.
They didn't hear you. Last one, by the way, was off Capuano here in Port St. Lucie.
Look at those hands.
And he's got it picked off. Desmond is a dead duck. Still, we mentioned that Capuano has a great pickoff move, and he catches Desmond. So Morse will lead off the next inning. Nationals fail to score. Mets coming up. Starting lineup for the Mets brought to you by Nissan. Get to the Nissan Now sales event for the Nissan you want. David Wright, good day yesterday. Hit his first spring home run. Couple of hits, drove in 3. He's in there. Jason Bay as well. And Lucas Duda trying to learn that right field and the outside shot that he breaks camp with his team. And Carlos Beltran can't go. Jason Marquis for the Nationals against Jose Reyes here in the bottom of the first inning.
Well, Marquis had an injury-riddled season. Came over from Colorado. And several seasons of double-digit wins. Last year, not so. He did not pitch. He had loose parts removed from his pitching elbow. He wound up 2-9 on the year, but the last 2 months of the season, coming off the injury, the surgery, I should say, he finished in 10 games, 2-6 with a 4.29.
And Marquis, Keith, is a guy that really was never hurt in his career. I mean, so it was a new thing for him. He pitched through the pain early, and this is a guy that's been really consistent throughout his whole career. So he had a couple games where he just, got beat up.
And local kid too, local New Yorker.
Tottenville High School in Staten Island, still lives on the South Shore. Calls his home base there. There's plenty of family and friends there.
Well, he's always been a pitcher, as you can see. Wins since 2004. How he ranks, that's pretty impressive. He's in good company. He's a guy who'll take the ball every fifth day.
Starts it off 3-1 to Jose Reyes here in the home first. Gonna be a tough play for Desmond. And he throws it away. And Reyes will go on to second. That one goes into the stands. Those are the type plays that the Nationals are trying to avoid with Ian Desmond.
Well, that's Desmond's fifth error, and his problem is his throwing. And he's made a lot of errors from this ball club in his first year, last year, and mostly throwing. He can hit. Boy, he's got a scatter on.
Jose Reyes gets credit with a single and then goes to second on the throwing error on Ian Desmond. I was talking to Alex Court today, who's on this Nationals squad trying to make the team. Likely will. I mean, especially with two young infielders, is a good guy to have. And I asked him what is the deal with Desmond. Obviously, he's got outstanding tools as Murphy takes outside ball one. And check out the defense brought to you by Volkswagen. Great deals are here, but not for long. Visit VWDealer.com. See Desmond and Espinosa, those guys in the middle, the young guys we're talking about. And, Corset, I'll tell you what, I think from what I've seen, even just taking ground balls, he has range. He gets the balls that I'm like, wow. But he's got to learn when not to throw those balls. So getting the balls and then eating it is something that he hasn't done yet. And that was maybe a case there.
And he's got to be a little more accurate. You just can't win with your middle infield is making a lot of errors. And I just had to circle that 127 errors by the Nationals last year in 162 games. That's awful.
Well, that's got to change, obviously, and they feel like it will. They feel like Espinosa at second base is going to be solid. They bring in Adam LaRoche at first, who's a good glove, much different than Adam Dunn.
There's a battle for center field, and M. Keel and Niger Morgan. Morgan not having a good spring.
Murphy right back up the middle. It skirts into the outfield base hit. Reyes being waved round third. He'll come in and score, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead. 9th RBI of the spring for Daniel Murphy.
Well, Murph's got the short, compact swing, likes that ball away, line drive hitter. They just got to find a position for him. And Reyes, of course, with his wheels, you can forget it.
We talked so much, Keith, about the second base competition all spring, and rightfully so, it's still not resolved. I think the one thing which we also haven't discussed when you're looking at this competition as a whole is David Wright steps in now, fresh off that 3 RBI game yesterday and fouls him off. Is the fact that there's also a possibility that Murphy and Emis could platoon here at second base.
Yes.
Right?
Well, you can do with Murphy, you can do what Davey Johnson did when Sid Fernandez pitched. You got Chris Young as a fly ball pitcher. You throw your offense out there. Davey all the time put Hojo at short, put Kevin Mitchell at short on when Sid was pitching on occasion.
That's a great point. And the Mets have a lot of fly ball pitchers, right? This could be 2. Espinosa double clutch cost him.
Oh, boy. Thought he still had him. Let's take a peek here. A little double clutch. And there's your difference. I thought, no, he beat it. And double plays, you got to turn them.
Well, the Nationals keep pointing out those errors. Already a couple of miscues here in the first. Right on first. With one down for Jason Bay. 10 for 33 this spring. One double. He takes high from Marquis. But I mean, Keith, that's a great point. I mean, you look at what the Mets have right now. I mean, clearly Chris Young's going to be a fly ball guy. I mean, you'd have to say that Pelfrey and Capuano are going to be ground ball guys.
Correct.
Right. But I think Nice can go either way. I think if his curveball's working, you get a lot of those fly balls. But that's bottom line is it's an option that the Mets have. They could make a platoon out of the situation.
How would you categorize R.A. Dickey with a knuckleball? Would they get more ground balls or more fly balls?
I think, I think if he's on, you're getting a lot of ground balls, and if he's not, you're going to get fly balls. It's a good point.
Little cutter right here. There you go. There's your top three right there in your rotation.
Needs to get next to Pelfrey, though, to make the order sequentially correct. That's how they'll start it out in Florida. Pelfrey the opener. Nice game 2. R.A. Dickey on Sunday. Opening day is 2 weeks away.
Can you believe it? April 1st, right?
Yeah.
April Fool's Day.
Friday night in Miami.
And Rusty Staub's birthday.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, Rusty's an April Fool's boy. No pun intended.
3-1 to Jason Bay. Caught the corner. They didn't think so.
Fastball in, wants it away, catch, and it sinks right back in. Good pitch.
Let's see if Wright takes off here. Bay working with a full count.
Marquis, I don't know if the gun is slow, but it's got him at 85, and that's...
I think the gun's been a little slow all spring.
I can't believe he's throwing 85 miles an hour.
To be honest, I think it's been a couple miles off for everybody. There goes Wright. Pitch is outside, ball 4. Throw doesn't mean anything. So Mets have first and second now with one down, and Scott Hairston will get a try.
I think Marquis thinks he's getting squeezed here. That's a case, I think, where the catcher comes up throwing on a low pitch and blocks the umpire's view. I thought that was a knee high.
Harrison's had a great spring, and it started in the inter-squad game right before the exhibition season started. He had 2 home runs that day, a couple of real shots to left center field. And so far, 2 more home runs in Grapefruit League play, batting .394. Hit a home run the other day that was just a bullet that hit the billboard down the left field line before he could even blink. He's got that type of power, always has. And he's got a couple of RBI opportunities here with first and second and one down. Jams him. Q shot. And Keel not going to get it. Wright will be held at third by Tim Tuffle, coaching along the lines at third today. Chip Hale went with the Mets split squad.
Well, you take it any way you can get them. Kind of want them in the season, though. There's a runner here. You just got to go halfway. You can't get out too far because if the ball's caught, you're going to get doubled up and you make your read.
Bags are full for the Mets here in the home first inning, already with a 1-0 lead in the RBI single from Daniel Murphy. And a chance for Lucas Duda, who is shown some good extra base pop. A couple home runs, 4 doubles, 5 RBIs this spring. And Sandy Alderson went on with us yesterday, said that Duda, talking about right field, and if Beltran isn't healthy, said Duda is right now kind of insinuated he's more likely on the periphery of the competition, that more likely it would be Scott Hairston or a Hairston-Willie Harris combo out there if Beltran can't go. But this continues to be an audition for Duda.
Well, I think you want to, we said it yesterday, Duda needs to play every day. He's young, and you see the pitch count right there. 12 balls and 9 strikes. So he's struggling a little bit. This all got off on the wrong foot for Marquis with the bleeder by Reyes in the throwing error.
Marquis is not missing by much.
He's a little bit miffed at home plate umpire Bruce Dreckman.
Marquis pitched well this spring. He's only allowed the 1 run, 12 innings. Just a shade off in this first, and it's 2-0 to Duda. And now it's 3-0.
Give him a hit sign here. Jim Riggleman. The 3rd year at the helm for him at this National Ball Club. He took over mid-season when they fired Manny Acta, correct?
Yep, you got it.
A couple years ago.
3-0 to Duda. Does he have the green light? And Marquis walks in a run. Boy, that's uncharacteristic of him. Mets lead at 2-0.
See if that gets a visit to the mound by Steve McCaddy, the pitching coach. Yep, here he comes.
You know, interesting territory, I would think, too. I mean, you know, Marquis, look, he came back and pitched plenty last year, and getting to that point in the spring where, you know, you're probably throwing around 85 pitches, 90 pitches anyway. But you don't want the guy who's going to be really important to your rotation to go out and throw 30 pitches, 35 pitches first inning of this game, which is what he's going to be approaching in moments.
He's a ground ball. That's what he's saying. Serve up a ground ball and come on in with just 2 runs.
We talked to Marquis about returning from the bone chips, and they removed the bone spur in there. And you know, a lot of times when guys have that, they'll say, you know, I got into trouble because once I started to feel the pain, I changed my arm slot, and then other problems develop. And he said he never had that issue. As Nick Evans bats with the bases juiced, and he takes strike 1. So, you know, I just kind of dealt with the pain early, and then when I came back, I never changed arm slot, never did any of that. So it feels like it wasn't that difficult for him to come back last year. He didn't have to change anything. One is low. Marquis is right. He's got that real good slider, inducing a lot of ground balls. Could use one here. 1-1. Evans hits one high and deep to center field. Hairston Jr. on the run, going back. It's over his head. Wright scores. Bay scores. Should say Bay and Hairston. Duda now in trouble. And did he get back? He did not. A mistake by Lucas Duda. Bay and Hairston come home on the double, but Duda gets caught in no man's land.
Well, Hairston playing very shallow, gets in over his head, plays a good short hop. Hits the cutoff man most importantly, but Duda was held up and was not picking up the third base coach at all. And you'll see it right here. It's plain as can be. The two front runners are easily scoring. It's plenty of time he's holding him up.
I don't think he looked.
He just obviously did not.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like his head was down there as he rounded third base.
Got to pick up your third base coach. That's why he's there.
So Duda thrown out on the play. It's a 2-run double for Nick Evans. Mets have a 4-0 lead here in the first inning off Jason Marquis, his first rough outing of the spring. And Josh Thole has had a good spring at the plate himself. Got a couple home runs already. See the average at 412. He's ready to go. Evans on second, 2 down, 4-0 Mets. Daniel Murphy, an RBI single, a bases loaded walk to Lucas Duda, and a 2-run double by Nick Evans as that one goes foul. You know, if you're Josh Thole, Keith, and you've had this great start, and you know you're hitting 412, you look at the calendar and you see another 2 weeks of spring to the opening day, and you almost just kind of want to hit the fast forward button, get right there, right?
I would think so. You don't want to burn them out too quick. You don't want to get hot too quick in spring. Don't want to waste them down here. That's the old saying. I'm turning on the last week.
Right side, gets through. Nick Evans being waved around. Oh, here comes the throw from Ankiel. It's a bullet, and he's dead to rights. Ankiel has that great arm in right, and Nick Evans had no shot. Thrown out at the plate. Couple base running outs for the Mets. They still score 4. Mets put up a 4 spot off Jason Marquis in the first inning, lead the Nationals 4-0 back in Port St. Lucie. Sun is shining just gorgeous again. Chris Capuano begins his second inning of work. And joining us on the headset from the Mets dugout is their new hitting coach this year. It's Dave Hudgens. Dave, it's Kevin and Keith upstairs in the booth, and thanks for the time. You know, we talked earlier in spring a couple weeks ago, and you were telling me how, you know, your job in the offseason, you watched so much tape and did your own evaluations, but then you really wanted to come and talk to everybody, spend time with them before you together made adjustments if there were any to be made. So now along that process, where are you with your players that you're coaching? As Morse hits one to Reyes, and he's retired for one away.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, you can see so much on video, just the mechanics of the swing and some of the tendencies and those types of things. But you really don't get to know them too well until you sit down with them, you know, and kind of work things out in the cage and get to know them a little bit and see what's important to them and you know, see what kind of adjustments they want to make first. And you know, we've got a bunch of guys in this team that like to work and they want to get better, and so that, you know, they're absolutely a pleasure to work with.
David, Keith up here. I got to believe that 2 projects for you, I got to believe, are Jason Bay and David Wright. What have you been doing to try to tinker with their swings or approach, for that matter?
Well, you know, Jason, he did some work in the offseason with his bat angle and path to the ball with his hands. And, what we tried to do with him, what he's wanted to do also is just become more consistent. So, to have a consistent bat angle to the ball and to just have a more consistent approach. So we've worked on his legs, a little bit better base, tried to get him over the ball a little bit better. And he's made a couple little adjustments with his hands now to get a little bit more rhythm than he did earlier. So he's working his way through it, and he's also working on his strike zone discipline just to get better pitches to hit. And, those types of things. But, he's got a real desire just to be more consistent and on a day-to-day basis be able to give good at-bats. So those are the main things with Jason. I think he's making progress, too. I think he's real close to having some good at-bats and being more consistent.
Meanwhile, Pudge Rodriguez hits one to center. Dave, we had the 40-minute first inning where we like to talk to you, and now we get you on. It's a minute-and-a-half inning. But we'll talk to you again soon, all right, Dave? Thanks for the time.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Baseball is brought to you by Inside the Vault. This week, Chris Collinsworth and the gang cover everything from auto racing to tailgating. Don't miss the sports edition of Inside the Vault. It's Sunday morning at 11, right here on Pix 11. Chris Capuano leads it off for the Mets here in the home second inning. They lead the Nationals 4-0. Jason Marquis struggling with his control just a little bit in the first inning. And the Mets put up a 4-spot, a 2-run double by Nick Evans, the highlight in that. Meanwhile, Capuano, as we were talking to Dave Hudgens, mowed through the Nationals in the top of the second. Here, though, he'll ground out to Espinoza.
Well, a pitcher like Marquis, who's had a tough first inning, giving up 4 runs, you're a veteran, you know you're going to be a part of the rotation. It's okay. I just throw away that inning, and now let me just finish strong here. Let me run some goose eggs up here and get my rhythm and get something positive out of this start.
Keith, we had Hudgens on it, and, I wanted to add, obviously we ran out of time. The inning was so quick, and he had to go watch the guys hit. But with Jose Reyes here, and he singled and scored his first time up, there's been some chatter about getting his on-base percentage up. And really, for most of his career, there's always talk about drawing more walks, being more patient. And this year, it's been a little bit of a conversation in spring training with the Mets with a new regime and a little bit different way of thinking. The question is for you, can you do that with him, and do you need to do that with him to change his game at this point of his career?
Well, with Jose has always been unbridled, and he, at the plate, he swings the bat, so it's a fine line you're walking as you see the differential and the on-base percentages as the years have gone by. Obviously, 2008 was his best year. It's a fine line when you have someone who likes to swing the bat, and you take away that aggressiveness. At the same token, if Jose is going to not walk so much, then Jose has got to hit 320, 310. He's got to be on base with his bat. They tried to get him to work over the years on his bunting.
This one, a long ball. Is it going to stay fair? No.
So, I guess the answer to your question is, how much do you pull the reins on him? I just think that when Jose, I know he looks for pitches. I think that when he looks for a breaking ball and he guesses right, there's a difference when you look for a breaking ball, not to get over anxious and swing at the breaking ball in the dirt. Swing at a breaking ball that's a strike. And I think that Jose, when he looks for a breaking ball sometimes, he gets so fixed on that breaking ball that he'll swing. He won't lay off the bad one. It's like, okay, I guessed right, here it comes, and all of a sudden it's in the dirt. But the key is you always want to swing at the strike. And you can't hit the curveball in the dirt.
2-2 to Reyes here. This is the center. Hairston Jr. has a beat on it, though. Second out. So is pitch recognition a part of this too, Keith, or is it just a matter of knowing knowing when to lay off? I mean, is it, where's the fine line there?
Well, he knows a curveball when he sees it. He knows a slider when he sees it. He knows a fastball when he sees it. It's just a matter of hitting your pitch. You go up to the plate, and you want to hit a ball, particularly when you're first pitch up there or you're ahead in the count, you want to hit your pitch. Don't hit the pitcher's pitch. And can you recognize that? A lot of hitters can't recognize, okay, there's this nasty slider on wherever, down and in, or on the back door of me. Well, okay, that's not a pitch for me to swing at.
Right.
And I'm willing to go 0-1. Sometimes you're willing to go 1-2. Sometimes you want to always cripple hit, and hopefully in a perfect world you get a fastball first pitch and you're out of the box, but it doesn't work out that way all the time. In the course of around 700 at-bats in the season.
So he could still be aggressive, but maybe learn not to be aggressive on the first 2 pitches of the at-bat in some senses.
It all depends. It's just, I always look fastball first pitch. I mean, I look fastball a lot, and if I got it, I didn't feel there was a fastball that I couldn't hit. So I could cover the whole plate. But if someone threw me a wicked curveball or changeup in a good spot, I'm going to spit on it.
Daniel Murphy now with 2 down. Taking just away, 3-1. Murphy had the RBI single. He's had a good spring at the plate. He's got 9 RBIs now. Trying to win that second base job and just win a spot on the team in general. There's a strike. Caught the corner. Just think about Murphy. I mean, last year he was the starting first baseman of this team. I mean, until the very last 10 days when he came around third in that run down and injured his knee, and that opened the door for eventually Ike Davis. And that's how quickly things can change. Payoff by Marquis. Espinoza can't make the play. Well, Daniel Murphy reaches on the 2-out base hit.
Well, he's planning on going back awful deep on that ball. Gotta think you gotta cut in more. You could have got it by sitting on the infield dirt.
So Murphy's 2 for 2. It'll bring up David Wright. Reached down the fielder's choice. Scored on the bases loaded walk to Lucas Duda in the first inning. Murphy bluffed it going. Bud Rodriguez, still the incumbent #1 catcher. Still very, very good defensive catcher. Blocking baseballs. But it'll be interesting this year with the Nationals to see how he's pushed by Wilson Ramos, the guy they went out and got from the Minnesota Twins, a highly touted catching prospect. And you wonder if at some point if they'll almost split time behind the plate. That's what people in Washington are thinking for Jim Riggleman. 1-0. And that's a strike. Fastball. It to center, but right at Jerry Hairston Jr. Mets strand 1. They lead it though 4-zip after 2. Not a bad way to spend the day, catching some rays and some waves. Not very big waves today. Not good for surfing. And if you're not doing that, you can always watch some baseball, or hopefully you're watching at home, as we are joined by our buddy, the Hall of Famer, Ralph Kiner is here. Ralph, how are you today, my friend?
Well, I'd wave to you if I could.
Exactly. Another gorgeous day here in Florida as Mets and the Nationals. Ralph, you know, we watched Chris Capuano work in his third inning. Where are you as a player right now at this point in the spring? You got 2 weeks to opening day. You can almost sense it, but it's still a long enough time where you're still kind of stuck in spring. What are you feeling right now as a player at this point?
I think Keith said it well. It's this about time where you say, I want to get out of here. I'm not ready to go. And you look forward to you're ready to go, and you don't need 4 weeks of batting practice. It's a good time where you say, I'm ready now. Let's get the ball going.
Well, Tyler Moore, with 31 home runs in high A ball for the Nationals last year, facing Capuano here. It's 2-2. Count here in the third, leading it off as the Mets have a 4-0 lead. Well, Keith and I were talking about Jason Bay yesterday, and Keith asked Dave Hudgens about him and things they've been working on. We've talked about it a lot, honestly, as Moore strikes out, totally completes the play. First strikeout for Capuano, and there's one down. Ralph, for Bay, you know, personal level, confidence level, whatever you want to call it, he's got all singles this spring but one. Does he need to hit home runs? Does he need to hit some more doubles? What does he need to do for his own good before the season starts?
Well, you better believe he better hit some home runs, because they're paying him to hit home runs. And he had 6 last year, and that won't get it. And the one thing is that, and they talked about this, both Keith and they said that he has to get better selection at the pitches he swings at. I mean, you have to know that you have to get pitches to hit out of the ballpark, and you got to wait and do it. Last year, I watched him all year long, go after balls and hit ground balls hard up the middle on the ground, but they're no good because he's got to hit home runs. And I don't care what Keith says. Keith loves to hit doubles, but I think I'd rather have home runs.
Spoken, by the way, like a true home run king, Keith.
Yes, that's true.
You know?
5 times, Ralph?
7 times.
Excuse me, forgive me.
that was a slap on the back of the head. I stand corrected. Are you kidding?
I gave you a piece of paper to write down 7 and wrote down 5.
There's Keith hitting one of his doubles.
No, that's a home run.
Capuano strikes out Alberto Gonzalez, so back-to-back Ks for Capuano has found a nice groove now. And he's got the pitcher Jason Marquis up with 2 down. So, Ralph, how does he go about doing that then?
Well, I think it's pitch selection, and Keith went through a very, very interesting thing. You got to get pitches to hit, and if you swing at the first pitch and hit a little ground ball off a curveball thrown outside, you just waste some time, and the pitcher says, "Oh, I hate him up again," and you got to take those pitches and wait till you at least get 2 strikes out. And then we go down to the defensive mood and make contact. There's a lot of you got waiting. You got to be patient. If you don't have patience, and you swing at the pitcher's pitch, he's out there to make you swing at that pitch that's not quite a strike.
2-2 to Marquis. Just reaches out and grabs one. And Murphy, another 1-2-3 inning for Chris Capuano, who's looked sharp here today. Mets up by 4. This tour of Digital Domain Park brought to you by the Lincoln Spring Forward Sales Event. All kinds of stuff here, the ballpark and on the backfields. Getting your programs. And you see the facility behind Digital Domain Park. And the backfields, the minor league facility directly across. That is the very important grill. I think that's the one where Teresa and B and Al cook the food. Is that not the one? No, okay. They do an unbelievable job cooking for the players, and in spring we're lucky enough to sample some of it too. It's phenomenal. But apparently that was not their grill. So I got that one wrong. Sorry about that.
She made a nice little, Teresa made a nice little shrimp dish for me with a little ravioli, steamed vegetables. Very nice.
Must be nice to be you, huh? Roll in, get that kind of meal before a game.
You don't get that kind of treatment?
I actually, from her, I do. She's the best.
Yes.
Jason Bay bats now in the home third. Mets up 4-0 over Jason Marquis and the Nationals. 2 RBI double from Nick Evans, Daniel Murphy an RBI single. The highlights, and Chris Capuano has looked really sharp so far. Well, yesterday, Ralph, of course, we spent a lot of time on this in the broadcast, but wanted to get your opinion since you weren't here. The Mets cutting ties with Luis Castillo and moving on in their second base competition. And, you know, Sandy Alderson admitted to us yesterday that, yes, the history and the negativity, and that was a factor. Ralph, did you think it was just to a point where it didn't matter what Castillo did good, that it was just good for both parties to kind of separate ways? What did you think about the move?
Well, the one thing about Castillo, his real asset in baseball was the fact that he had great speed and he made contact with the ball. He had no power at all. And he had to do the things that he could do well, and that was running. And he can't run anymore. And when you get to that point, you have to look for another job.
Luis was a 3-time Gold Glover, and he'd lost his range due to his leg injuries and getting older.
I think the biggest thing that comes down to this, and I think certainly, Ralph, that's an excellent point. But I think the thing that comes out of this is what Sandy told us yesterday, that he is viewing this as a position that they need to get offense out of. And I don't think that means, you know, singles here and there. I think they want, you know, somebody to come in and produce doubles, home runs, RBI numbers at the position, which is why, you know, Castillo was eliminated from that post as Bay draws a walk.
There's no doubt about that, because he did not have the home run power you need. With some consistency at second base, if you don't have that somewhere else in your lineup. And second base is a defensive position, but you've got to be able to do some offense. And so if you don't have it at second base, you got to find it somewhere else.
Right. Scott Hairston, the batter now. Hairston's just hit the ball hard every time this spring, except for the last time. He just blooped one into right field in front of Rick Ankiel for a base hit, and he takes outside ball one. We just saw our friends in the WFAN booth a moment ago. Eddie Coleman and Wayne Hagan, and they've got a special guest, Frank Catalanato, is actually calling the game with them today. Another of New York's finest. There you go. Wayne's on the left. Wayne's got the headset off. I think that's an illegal move by Wayne. Eddie's calling the game with Frank right now. Wayne has Wayne is the best storyteller. He is the schmoozer, Keith, right?
Yes, he is. There's no question about it.
He's very good at that, and it comes across on the air. So, fan guys doing the game today. No Howie Rose though. Howie's still up in Hockeyville. He'll be back shortly, I believe, as Hairston, the hefty cut on the off speed.
And I believe our play-by-play man, Mr. Cohen, is coming back on Monday for Monday's broadcast.
Gary's back. I'm getting booted back down to the field. Actually, Gary will be back. Gary's in NCAA land in Tampa today, calling those games over there. He'll be back on Monday. Mets and Braves on Monday. You've got that one, right, Keith?
Yes, I do.
I will be watching that one from home, flying home for a couple days.
Enjoy it. Hopefully you'll get some good weather.
It was great yesterday. It was in the 70s back in the New York area yesterday. I don't know if that's going to continue, though.
Don't you believe it?
Probably not, Ralph, right? One can dream. That's for sure.
I remember so many times opening up in the old days of when I was playing.
Espinoza actually catches that one cleanly, so Harrison's retired.
And you go opening day in like Cincinnati or whatever, the old Black Ball was one of the great pitchers and one of the toughest in the world to hit against. And you'd be betting against him with the snow coming down, and that white ball and the white snowflakes didn't work.
Baseball is not meant to be played with snow coming down. You know that?
It's really well, and you can get that in April. There's no doubt about that.
I remember the last year I played, I was in uniform, was 1990 in Cleveland. We opened up at home against the Yankees, and they had the old municipal stadium full, so they wanted to play that game.
Sure.
So they foregoed all the opening day ceremonies. We started that game in snow, and it only lasted 2.5 innings. It just got worse and worse and worse, and then they had to cancel the game.
You know, Cleveland at one time drew a ton of people. They had the all-time record for attendance 1 year.
Hairston on the towering fly ball puts Duda away. Bay retreats to first, 2 down.
I remember a time when Bill Veeck was out there in rain, and they were going to lose a crowd of 80,000 people, which that stadium held. It was a tremendously big stadium. And he was out there, and he, of course, had an artificial leg, and he was out there trying to pull the tarp on the field, trying to help out the grounds crew to make sure he saved that ground.
Tough to turn away 80,000.
Well, they had some great clubs in the 50s. There's no doubt about that. And they talk about great pitching staffs. Cleveland had one, if not the best, close to the best in their history in that year, in those years, that decade.
You had Lemon, Garcia, Feller, and Early Wynn.
Oh, Early Wynn, and of course they had a great bullpen, and Lesky and Mossy, and then they had Herb Score come up, and he was in 1955, and he was a great left-hand pitcher till they got hit in the head by McDougal, and with a line drive back to the box, and that ruined a great potential career.
What did Feller say to me last year when I interviewed him in Cleveland? His fastball was clocked at 107.9. Is that what he said, I think?
But that might be a shade fast.
He had it to. He said
I guarantee he knows what he's talking about.
To the decimal, Ralph.
Right.
I said, were they ever able to clock it? And immediately, 107.9.
Yeah, no, here's the whole thing. Where do you clock it? Do you clock it halfway to the plate? Do you clock it at the plate? Or do you clock it out of his hand?
Well, that's a good point.
You didn't say anything about that, did you?
Well, you got to keep the mystique alive, Ralph. I mean,
there is a margin of error, human error, when you have that radar gun in your hand.
Yes, there is.
Of course, there's a factor called gravity that has a lot to do with the speed.
This one on the ground, skirts by Rodriguez, Bay down to second.
A little change up. It came up too quick there. Future Hall of Famer Ivan Rodriguez.
Pudge Rodriguez. Pudge was pudgy at one time.
Three and one, and Nick Evans has got the 2-run double to his credit so far today. Looking for more. And now the count goes full as Nick watches that one. Evans trying to make this squad. He's facing a numbers crunch, certainly, with Scott Hairston cemented in and looking like Willie Harris is going to be in there. And Nick just trying to do all he can do is make this team, and if not, make another team right now. So every and bat important to Nick Evans. Marquise 3-2.
You wonder how a guy that's a Major League Baseball player can hit a ball that foul. I mean, your timing has to be really off when you hit a ball that foul.
I'm glad the coffee showed up. Whew.
Coffee's early today.
I asked for it early.
Oh, is that why?
Yes.
In the hole, Desmond. No shots. Well, Desmond made an errant throw before in a ball he should have held. That time he had no chance, and he didn't even bother. Nick Evans is 2 for 2. Runners on the corners now for the Mets.
He's had a rough day out there already, and that was really a good defensive play to get through that ball. But he had no chance. It was a base hit all the way.
So runners of the corners, 2 down for Josh Tolley, who's just had a great spring. 1 hit today already. He's got a single. 429 the average right now. He's
a couple home runs.
Yeah, one of them off a lefty too. You know, Ralph, you've talked about Josh choking up on the bat and sometimes even splitting those hands a little bit. It's Marquis facing Tolley here, and he swings at the first one. I'll have to save that one for later. Tolley grounds out. Mets leave runners at the corners. Still, though, they're in control, leading the Nationals 4-0. New York Mets baseball brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Back here at Digital Domain Park, we head to the top of the 4th. Chris Capuano looking ultra sharp today. No hits allowed by him, and the Mets have a 4-0 lead. And we've been talking all spring about the second base competition for the Mets and the participants that have been in it and trying to get their at-bats, getting their time at the position. And one of those guys puts on the headset for us now. Justin Turner joins us downstairs. Justin, it's Kevin and Keith and Ralph upstairs. And what's this like for you, being in the midst of what was a 5-man competition? You know, now it's down to 4, I suppose. I mean, bottom line is it's such a giant competition with so many people involved. And what's that like for the player, going through that and just trying to, you know, eventually come out on top here?
You know, it's exciting. You come into spring training, you have an opportunity to win a job, and we got a lot of good players over there who are more than capable of playing the position, and just got to go out every day and take your good at bats and catch every ball hit to you.
I think the key to that is you have an opportunity of having 5 guys after one job. If you have one guy after one job, you got no chance.
Right, there's an opportunity. That's a good point. You just having the opportunity with that. Justin, how about the opportunity last year just to get some time with the big club? I mean, I know it wasn't a lot yet, 8 at-bats, but you did get a little time on the West Coast trip. Did that help just in terms of comfort level at all? Did that do anything for you coming into spring this year?
Yeah, you know, being able to get up there and play with the Mets for a couple days, and it was new for me because I got claimed in the middle of the season, so getting up there, I was just getting to know everyone. I had no idea. Well, I knew who the staff was, but I had never met him before, and it was kind of an adjustment, getting used to everyone and seeing how things work with the organization. So it's nice to have it under my belt and getting to know the guys a little bit, and made it a little easier coming into spring training this year.
Take a look on screen at the guys that are vying for that second base job. Is a 2-2 to Hairston Jr., and he is struck out. Capuano's 3rd strikeout now in the last 4 batters, and there's 1 down. Justin, you had a good year in AAA. play last year. I mean, you hit 333 for Buffalo and over 300 bats and 11 home runs. Give the fans an idea who haven't seen you enough. I mean, self-scout yourself and tell them what kind of player to expect when you're out there.
Well, I'm definitely not a power hitter. The 11 home runs was a high for me last year. I don't know what it was, the change of scenery, I guess.
Air was blowing out at Dunfield, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess we had some right to left wind going down there up in Buffalo. But, you know, I like to play the game. I've been around the game for a long time. Went to Cal State Fullerton, so I think I'm pretty well schooled in baseball under George Horton. And, you know, I've considered myself a student. I like to watch and pay attention and learn new things every day. And basically just go out and play hard and have fun. I love it. Every day is a good day for me. I get to wake up and put a uniform on. So basically I just go out and try to enjoy it.
Justin, how are you right now? Where are you in spring training? You happy with your swing right now? Do you feel like you're in a groove, or are you still kind of searching for it?
You know what? If you would ask me that question last week, I would have said I had no idea where I'm at. But I made a few adjustments with Hudgens and Easler beginning of this week, and I'm getting close. I'm starting to feel pretty good up there. I feel like I'm taking some pretty good at-bats, and hopefully the hits will keep on coming.
What were the adjustments?
Just a few little tweaks with my setup, working on staying down through the ball and not letting that front elbow get up, getting a little loopy in my swing. And I started out early in the spring. I was pretty wide, so I shortened up my base, and that's helped me stay down on the ball, stay on top of the ball a little better.
Meanwhile, Chris Capuano is just flat out rolling. There he goes to the gas. It gets Danny Espinosa. 4 strikeout in the last 5 batters for Capuano.
Justin, I know you guys hit a lot in the cage, and it's always good to hit in the cage in spring training off of and get away from the live hitting off live pitching. But do you feel like you're getting enough game at bats in spring? Because you only play one second baseman at a time.
Well, yeah, I think so. I've been getting a lot of innings over in at third too. So, like I said, I'm pretty comfortable playing second base. As long as I'm getting in there playing wherever, it's all about getting me at bats, really. So whether it's third or second, or I was over at first the other day. Important.
You know, Justin, wanted to ask you, and I know you've made jokes about this, that you're known as the guy that got hit in the face and broke his ankle. When you're in college, you got drilled in the face trying to bunt a pitch, and you ended up hurting your ankle on the play trying to get out of the way. But, you know, we talk about a lot on the broadcast when you know, in terms of pitching inside in the game today and how guys react when you're pitched inside. When that happened to you, what was the experience, as Mike Moore stands in for the Nationals here, what was the experience of coming back, getting in the box, and being ready to take that inside fastball? I mean, what was the adjustment period for you? How long did it take to get comfortable again? It's an issue we talk about a lot on the games.
You know what? I actually went out and played summer ball in the Northern Ohio League, and my first at bat out there, I actually had to put down a sacrifice bunt for the team. So
real, the first at bat back,
very first at bat. So it kind of got that out of the way, and once that was done, I was able to put it behind me. I didn't worry about it too much.
That's pretty good. I mean, I guess if there's a way to do it, you do it with the first at bat, right?
Yep.
Just get it out of the way. Well, Mike Moore sits, Justin Turner joining us, and Justin, listen, thanks. Going forward, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Justin Turner, you'll see him, I'm sure, later in this game, as Moore spats with 2 down and a runner on. It was the first base hit, by the way, against Capuano off the bat of Ian Desmond.
You know, Kevin, let's talk about this batting stance here, Mike Moore. He holds the bat with his arms fully extended. Now, first they would say, no, there's no way it would work for you. But they leave players like this alone until they find out it will work or it won't work. And because you can have all kinds of stances where you hold the bat, whatever, it can work for you, but maybe not for somebody else.
Right.
And so in a case like this, you would hate to take him and say, let's change that right away. That won't work. You got to find out if it will or not.
So with him getting a chance to start this year, Ralph, how long do you give that process? If he does struggle a little bit, do you give it a month? Do you give it a couple weeks? Here's a chance for Wright. Is it a quick process?
I would say it depends on the manager, and that makes a big difference.
squad today. There you see what they're doing in Orlando, trailing the Braves 2-1. Brooks Conrad just hit a 2-run home run off Pat Mish. Willie Harris has a solo home run for the Mets. Mish 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 Ks, 1 walk, and the home run to Conrad, the runs there. So that's what the other Mets team is doing. This one here at home, leading the Nationals 4-0. Chris Capuano has been terrific so far, and he leads it off here in the home fourth. Just one hit. He's also got 4 strikeouts already in this game. Jason Marquis had a rough first inning, has rebounded the last couple, at least to keep the Mets off the board. Tyler Clippard, who got a ton of work last year for the Nationals, picked up a ton of wins doing it as well. We'll get to see him next after Marquis. You know, Ralph, when we went to break, you're talking about Mike Morse's unique batting stance. He holds that bat straight out from his body. The question I didn't get a chance to ask you because we went to break is, what would be the advantage of that? Is it just personal feel for him at that point, or is there any advantage you could see him getting from that power-wise?
Well, you really can't tell because many different ways to make you do that. And would be success as a little league player, and he worked for him in little league, and then later on in Pony League, it might not work, or it might work again. And that depends on how you continue to advance in baseball. That's one thing about it. You can change things around a lot in baseball.
Here's Reyes back to the top of the order for the Mets. Reyes is 1 for 2, single, run scored in this game.
You know, when I played as a young kid growing up, we played a lot of hard pitch softball, and I would hit left-handed because I didn't want to ruin my right-handed swing. And I would hit left-handed all the way through the game. Didn't make any difference. Of course, in softball, you don't have that big curveball. It makes a difference. It's not quite as tough to hit.
Espinosa's got to hurry. A little flip, not in time. Reyes showing you the speed, and he beats it out.
Tough play for both the second baseman and the first baseman. I thought they had no stretch from Gonzalez there, and that's the difference. And I know it's a tough play because the second baseman's right on top of you. You don't want to commit too early, but you see that's a terrible stretch with a fast runner. Once you read the ball out of the hand, get out there and go get it, and you can cheat on this one. Nice hustle by Jose.
That is called the neighborhood play. You're in the neighborhood to first base.
Now Daniel Murphy, who is 2 for 2 today, just keep trying to build his case for second base with his bat, which he has hit this spring, that's for sure.
That's not an easy play for first baseman because they're throwing right on top of it.
Murphy.
You know, sometimes on the play like that, Ralph, from my experience, you just, when it's a close play, the runner like Reyes, as a first baseman, you've just got to commit early and hope that the second baseman gives you a good throw, because you can't wait to read when he's that close, and you won't get a good stretch like we just saw, and Reyes is going to beat it out. And a slow roller like that, your catcher should have plenty of time to back you up if the throw is bad and Reyes can't advance. So you just take a chance and go out, and hopefully you're hoping that he makes the throw perfectly to you.
Who does that really well, Keith, would you say right now? I mean, you know, when you talk about something like that and you bring up a great point, just how little couple extra inches there could make that play.
Well, it's always the good cheaters, you know. Is there first baseman know how to cheat?
Is there someone in the National League that strikes your eye that does that really well now that you think off the top of your head?
Well, Adam LaRoche is a good little fielding first baseman. He does it well. But that's a play you can't practice. You know, it's guys, you don't hit ground balls and work on that, so it's purely reaction. You know, and your athletic ability comes into play.
One of the great first basemen at cheating, so-called cheating, was Gil Hodges. He never was on first base. Yeah. He could time that so perfectly. He was coming off the bag as the ball hit the glove.
I was taught by Ron Fairley, the old Dodger first baseman, how to cheat.
Base hit for Rice. First and second, 2 down.
And the key to cheating, Kev, is when it's going to be a tied base, so we're going to beat it out by a half step. You don't have to cheat when it's a close play. There's Gil.
Unfortunately, there's a microphone in his face.
No respect.
Really, he started out as a catcher and then went to third base and then moved to first base. And for a right-handed first baseman, he was one of the best I ever saw.
Jason Marquis hit his pitch limit here, so the Nationals, you would think, would go to the bullpen. Clippard comes in. Marquis still having a discussion.
He's toast.
He had that long first inning where he allowed 4 runs, so he's done enough. 2 down, Tyler Clippard on. Mets looking for more.
People.
Mets 4-0 lead, 2 on, 2 out. Tyler Clippard on to replace Jason Marquis. Fans just relaxing on this gorgeous day.
Well, you were looking correctly at that 1-loss record for Tyler Clippard. 11 wins. Let's look at, and all in relief, and all 8 losses in relief too.
Keith, you were hit it. You're talking about Roger McDowell in '86. You're talking about Clippard's, all those decisions. McDowell in '86 was 14-9.
How many starts did he have in '86? He start a game?
He had 0.
So it was all in relief. Because Roger was our workhorse in that bullpen.
He started 2 the year before. Bottom line is 11-8. That's a lot of decisions out of the bullpen for Tyler Clippard. Had a good year last year. Tired a little bit in the late summer months, but put together a real good season. Nationals counting on him again to be a late guy. 7th, 8th inning guy. For the closer, Drew Storen. Jason Bay looking for an RBI chance. He's walked his both times up. Clippard is high.
You know, Roger was the king of the hot foot.
There's Joe McElvain.
Joe, the former GM of the New York Mets, San Diego Padres, one of the great scouts in baseball.
He's with the Twins now, and '86 in the '80s when the Mets were rebuilding the ball club, Joe ran the farm system. Al Harrison was up there with Frank Cashin. It was a big triumvirate right there.
I guess once a baseball talent evaluator, always a baseball talent evaluator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Mac's still doing it. Just Bay watches outside. Bay's been patient today. Reyes and Wright on base for the Mets, each with singles here in the inning off Marquis. Nick Evans has done the big damage, the 2-run double in the first inning for the Mets. Daniel Murphy, a couple of hits and an RBI today as well. Those are the offensive storylines. Bay hits one high in the air. It's going to go foul, though.
Just a little quick.
Well, one thing about that, you like to see him hit the ball in the air for a change. He hits ground ball after ground ball.
a fastball right down Broadway. He was a little quick.
It was a pitch you hit in the air. There's no question about that.
2-2 from Clippard. Got a piece. Clippard's got that directly over the top delivery.
One thing about, excuse me, Kevin, one thing I get to say about Kevin Beck, he is so far from that plate, you got to have an extra long bat.
He's deep in the box.
Oh boy, he's really back there.
Try to come inside with the change. Where do you want him to be, Riley? Where would you like him to be? Where were you,
I would like to have him up at least 1 foot closer to the plate. He is really deep in the box. Of course, he can hit back there.
Yes.
You got guys like Rogers Hornsby, one of the greatest right-hand batters of all time, hit from the very back of the batter's box.
Difference being what? From the back to the front?
You have to move into the ball all the time and hit the right center field.
Is it just the extra split second for, is it just that extra split second timing wise? What is the benefit to being back?
Well, the whole thing, being back, you got a little more time to hit the ball up, but that's also the time when the curveball breaks away from you out of reach. So there's disadvantages to it too.
It's a 3-2 to Bay, trying to deliver the Mets another run here. And he takes his third walk of the game. Clippard upstairs. Off speed.
One thing about that, Kevin, there was one player who was one of the great hitters in the American League and in baseball history. It was Al Simmons. Al Simmons hit deep in the batter's box, and he had a step in the bucket, which means a step over the left side of the line. And he used a 42-inch bat to compensate for the difference in speed. The longest bat you can use in baseball. Only 42 inches. They won't let you use anyone longer.
Chance for Hairston with the bases loaded now with 2 down. He's 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. Watches that one outside and low.
Who do you think used the shortest bat?
The shortest bat? Eddie Goodell?
That's it. Eddie Goodell, the Mitchell.
That was the St. Louis Browns. It was a Bill Veeck special, right?
That's right. Bill Veeck and Eddie Goodell.
I was wondering if it was a trick question, Rob. I didn't know if you were going to try to get me there.
No, I thought, well, that's listen, for you to bring that up was good.
Hairston over his brother's head. This might clear him. 1 run scores. 2 runs scores. Bay's going to score. It's a triple. 3-run variety for Scott Hairston. 7-zip New York.
Well, misplayed by Jerry Hairston Jr. He run in and it was just too late. He made a run right back. He didn't think the ball was hit that good. And it was too late.
You know, Keith, that's his brother out there in center field.
Taking care of him.
He was back on purpose.
Taking care of him?
Yeah.
Now Duda with 2 down and Hairston at third. Boy, Hairston has just scolded the ball this spring. I mean, he really makes solid contact. And, we saw his brother, Jerry Jr., come in on that one, take the route that you guys talked about. Well, interestingly enough, the Nationals are actually talking that Rick Ankiel could win the center field job, and Hairston Jr. would platoon with him. I mean, Ankiel is a very good still defensively center fielder. And Nigel Morgan has had a terrible camp. He had a bad year last year, and he has an option left to be sent down. But Ankiel cannot hit lefties. So they're actually talking that Hairston Jr., who's really more of an infielder by trade, although he's played outfield, could be platooning in center this year. One and one to Duda upstairs.
Ankiel comes from Fort Pierce, which is about 10 miles from here. And he was a pitcher in the major leagues for the St. Louis Cardinals. And the reason why is that not further than now, he couldn't get the ball over the plate. He made a great throw from right field.
Isn't that funny, Ralph? Right? He, from 60 feet, 6 inches, couldn't find the play from right field, finds it just fine.
300 feet away, he finds it perfectly.
He does have that great arm. I mean, he threw in the high 90s when he was a pitcher. And you mentioned Fort Pierce. He went to Port St. Lucie High School. Well, this is home for him.
Yeah.
Well, he had great success his first year up and during the season, and he got in the playoffs, and he
got wild.
And Tony La Russa made him, I believe he started the first game, or a real critical game. He couldn't find the plate, and he never got it back.
2-2 to Lucas Duda. But Keith, how about, and Ralph, how about the wherewithal, though, for him to then go back into the system and you know, learn to be a center fielder and come up and have success at that position? I mean, that had to take some guts to do that.
He was a good hitting pitcher, too.
Right.
You know?
Well, that's it. The whole thing is he was a good athlete, he was a good pitcher, and also a good defensive player in the outfield. So he could do that. And a lot of pitchers have done that.
Duda fans on the off speed, and the Mets are done here in the fourth, but not before adding 3 more. Courtesy of Scott Hairston's 3-run triple. It's 7-0 New York. New York's favorite bad boy. We can't get enough of him. Get a double dose of Charlie Sheen and 2.5 Men right here. Weeknights starting Monday at 7 on Pix 11.
Well, you ain't kidding.
Charlie, a big baseball fan.
He's got all kinds of memorabilia. Right? He's got a great baseball memorabilia collection. In fact, Ralph, if I'm not mistaken, you know, when you were on with us a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Hannes Wagner and the baseball card and his girlfriend. I think Charlie Sheen has one of Hannes Wagner's baseball cards.
It would be worth maybe $1 million.
Wow. I'm pretty sure he's got an extensive collection. Here's Rick Ankiel leading it off. First pitch swinging. Capuano covering. 1 down, just like that. Capuano's been great. He's allowed 1 hit. He's got 4 strikeouts. Guys, what do you like about him? I mean, Met fans getting an extended look at the starting pitcher today.
Where'd you find those shirts?
What about the hat?
I like the fact that he's kept the ball down. He's got his rhythm kept. He's obviously a pitcher that has to, he's sinker ball, change up, in and out, control. He has to keep the ball down, and he's kept the ball down and off the middle of the plate this entire game thus far.
He's only given up 1 hit, and there was a single by Desmond.
Just a little poke the other way. Fast worker. Originally 8th round pick by the Diamondbacks back in 1999 out of Duke. And Pudge deposits one in front of Jason Bay. Second hit allowed by Capuano. Chris graduated at the top of his class, economics major. You know, Ralph, it's interesting as we see Brian Bixler to the plate now. That, you know, Sandy Koufax was here earlier in camp, and usually everyone's lucky enough that he'll stop by, you know, once a spring. And he really spent a lot of time with Chris Capuano, and Capuano just loved every second of it, getting a chance to work with him. And you know, one of the things, Sandy was very hands-on the bullpen session. And one of the things he tried to work with is just his follow-through. He had Chris hooking the rubber to make his follow-through more fluid and to kind of work a little bit better that way. And he just loved the chance to work with him. He really relished it. In fact, he pitched in the in an inter-squad game, and Sandy came and watched Capuano pitch after that.
One thing about Sandy Koufax, when he broke in with the Dodgers, they had a rule where you had to keep him on the bench for, I believe it was 2 years. But anyway, that has nothing to do with it. But he was so wild, he would throw the ball and hit the screen, miss the catcher, the umpire, and everybody else. And he became one of the great control pitchers of fastball pitchers that ever lived. And he became so good at throwing strikes that it was unbelievable. But at one point in his career, he could not get the ball near the plate.
How in the world did that transformation happen?
Well, they credit the catcher that was with the Dodgers. I can't think of his name right now. But I think what they did with him, they finally brought him down to not throw the ball full speed at 100 miles an hour. You know? And that brought him back into where he could command the pitch.
Here's Sandy working with Capuano earlier, as we were talking about.
He sat on the bench for almost 2 years. They couldn't get him in the ballgame.
Bixler, a little cue shot over Murphy's head. Pudge will stop at second, and the Nationals have their first real threat of the game against Capuano. And Sandy comes here, you know, Ralph, and he doesn't offer advice unless he's asked. He doesn't want to be in the way. He doesn't want to come in and, you know, say I'm Sandy Koufax, Broderick warming in the pen. He comes in, and if guys want to talk to him, want to ask, he'll be happy to help. And that's what Capuano did. Went up to him right away.
I spent a lot of time with him one time in one winter. We lived in the same area. And we played golf together a lot. And he could hit a golf ball a mile, but he couldn't hit a baseball at all. But he was, of course, that type of person. Really astute. Can't find a nicer guy in the world than he is.
1-0 to Alberto Gonzalez has the big cut, so it's 1-1. The first baseman today, you see Capuano at 60. He went 5 shutout innings in his last outing. That was in a minor league game. Generally, guys up around 80-ish with the pitches, but he might pitch this 5th and get some side work. Very possible. 2-1 to Gonzalez now. Capuano in first bit of trouble all game. Two to Gonzalez. Duda makes the catch, and there's 2 away. The Nationals will send up a pinch hitter for Clipper. The pitcher Derek Norris will get an opportunity. Let's see if Capuano can go 5 shutout innings here. He's just looked terrific. What a boon for the rotation this would be if the Mets can get Chris Young, Capuano feeling this good during the regular season. They have both been super here this spring. There's a strike 1 to Derek Norris.
Well, you went into the season starting in the offseason with question marks in your 4 and 5 starters. You don't want that going forward.
Gets Norris to chase, has him in an 0-2 hole. These guys have been solid. Of course, the Mets setting up to have some insurance in AAA. Mets are going to have a good rotation in AAA, by the way. They're going to have Dylan G, Henry Mejia, Boof Bonser, who's had a real good spring as well. Setting up, you know over the course of a year, guys are going to get nicked up, and you're going to need guys to come up and start. I think the Mets have tried to, really change things up. I mean, remember back in 07, I mean, they're struggling and guys are getting hurt, and they had to bring up, Brian Lawrence and Phil Lumber to make starts late in the year, and it just wasn't fair. They didn't have that depth. So last year, obviously, Dickey came up, did a great job. G came up, did a great job. Trying to build that depth again.
G has been sent back to the minor leagues. We had a pitcher named Johnny Gee, spelled the same way, G-E-E. He was 6'9", and at that time the tallest pitcher in baseball ever. Now you see guys 6'10", 6'11".
6'9", still pretty big, Ralph, by the way. Was he a hard thrower?
I'm a hard thrower, left-hand pitcher, and he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 40s, and not a long career.
3-2, and Capuano gets him on the change. Boy, outstanding work from Chris Capuano. 5 shutout. Take a nice little cruise after this one. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or see your local Dodge dealers today. New pitcher for the Nationals. It's Brian Broderick coming on, trying to win a spot in this bullpen for this team. Broderick is a Rule 5 guy trying to latch on with the Nats. Of course, to do that, you got to stick with the big club. Facing Nick Evans, started off here in the home 5th inning. Evans, a little cue shot. And Desmond throws him out. And there's one down. So, Ralph, when you look at this Mets team, as we're 2 weeks before opening day, what are the areas of the team that you're most comfortable with, most confident in, and what are the areas that you think are still a giant question mark for this team?
Well, the one thing about the Mets, I think, that is evident right now in spring training, we got a whole different attitude going on here. And the attitude is not laid back. The attitude is let's go get him. And that has been a big change in my mind. And one of the things that the Mets have never had was an expression, they didn't get their uniform dirty. And it means that they don't dive for things and didn't get in the dirt and things like that. And I remember Pete Rose once said about George Foster, he hit 50-some home runs one year. He said he doesn't get his uniform dirty, meaning that was a negative thing. And the Mets they're very aggressive right now in spring training. And that's to me is a wonderful sign. They were really laid back over the last couple of years.
1-2 to Tolley. A chance for Espinoza. So, Ralph, a manager can do that, huh? And just come in and just change the attitude and change the dynamic that way?
Absolutely. The manager is the key to making the players play baseball, and there's no doubt about that. But also, the general manager has a lot to do with that because he's the guy that gets the players. He's got to know which ones are the ones that you want that they're grinding every day.
And your manager and your general manager in a perfect world got to be on the same page. The manager has to be backed up by the general manager. You can't have players going over the head of the manager, have contact with the GM. Today's game, there's Beato. We talked about him in the open, very anxiously awaiting his appearance here, a chance to make the ball club. But a lot of times in today's game, agents call the general manager, and there used to be the chain of command was the player, the manager. The player had a gripe or anything, he went to the manager. And a lot of times today, a lot of players go right up to the general manager and go over the head of the manager, and I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Doesn't work.
Ralph, always a pleasure to have you on. Good to see you again today. We'll see you again soon, all right?
All right, you bet. Good to be with you again. I'll be here Monday.
Yep, you can get just beyond Digital Domain Park. A little different picture today. I don't see the white-tailed egret that's usually out there.
I don't know what those things are.
They're birds, Keith.
They're enjoying the day. Thanks, Kev.
Oh, gosh. What a day to hang out. There you see the little perspective from where it is.
You sure it wasn't a duck-billed platypus?
Very possible.
Very possible. 7-0. Mets lead the Nationals as we welcome you back to Port St. Lucie. We thank, as always, Ralph Kiner. It's great having him join us as always. He'll be back on Monday. So will Gary Cohen, coming back from Basketball World. We'll have the game with Ralph and Keith on Monday. Here, though, it's been all Mets, and Chris Capuano, a big reason why. He's looked terrific. He's allowed 3 hits. He's been in total control. He's got 5 strikeouts. And really showing you a glimpse of a guy who was an all-star back in 2006. Doug Slayton warming up for the Nationals.
Slayton, one of the duo of that bullpen in the Nationals, and to let the lefty duo, Sean Burnett and Doug Slayton. They both had good years last year for the Nationals. Well, this is what you call a nice spring training outing for Capuano. Going 6, stretching it out. Boy, couldn't ask for anything better.
Here, though, falling behind Hairston Jr. 3-0 to start the 6th. There's a strike right down Broadway. Hairston Jr. puts a charge.
Oh,
what a catch! Jesus Feliciano, who just checked into left field, makes a heck of a play on the run.
Well, he gets a good break on it here. Nicely done. Jesus, of course, had some up and down from Buffalo last year. That's double written all over it. Very nice.
Feliciano in there. He was greeted warmly by teammates today when he came to the Major League clubhouse. Some minor leaguers on hand that'll play today because it's a split squad. Other half of the Mets are in Orlando taking on the Braves. 3-3 score there. Pat Mish started. Billy Harris had a home run in that one. Take a look at Capuano. Still only at 76 pitches. We work in the 6th inning. Getting closer to that point. Mike Davis has an RBI single of that Mets game at Atlanta. Here 1-1 to Espinosa. Espinosa here on Tuesday night took a ball off the right foot, batting left-handed, and they kept him out of the lineup, as a matter of fact, until today. Said he was only going to bat right-handed, didn't want to have the risk of fouling another ball off that right foot, but hasn't had to worry about it because Capuano stayed in the whole game. Capuano's been so economical today. Here's proof. 5 pitches in the 2nd, 20 in the 5th. That was the most.
Starting to lose a little bit of his command here. He just might be tiring a tad. And there's the scorecard. Very nice.
That's very clean. Doesn't have the highlights though, Keith.
No, I'm not breaking mine out till later. Till the opening day.
Oh, those don't come out in spring training.
No, they don't.
Why is that?
Too many changes. Too many people you don't know.
You need more highlighters, essentially.
On the colors.
Yeah.
On the color wheel.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I didn't think about that angle.
I got them all ready though. Oh, not gonna let him finish the inning. Okay.
No, Capuano.
Script pitch count.
What an outing, though. And he hears it from the fans. Standing O here in Port St. Lucie. Capuano brilliant today. He's through after 5 2/3. He's got to enjoy that outing today. His longest of the spring, his best of the spring. Mets 7-0. They go to the pen coming up.
6. Chris Capuano was brilliant. And now we get a chance to see the Mets Rule 5 selection. Pedro Beato is on.
And you can see a 7th relief appearance here, and he has had a fine spring. I love the 2 walks and 7 innings pitched. Does throw strikes. Big sinker.
He's a big guy, 6'6", 220, has a live fastball. Get it up in the mid-90s.
Plus, he's very charming. He's a nice kid. He's always got a smile on his face. He's got a good disposition.
He's certainly enjoying this experience. Kid who came over from the Dominican Republic, grew up in Queens as a Mets fan, by the way, and commuted to Xaverian High School in Brooklyn every day. Played ball there. He's just 24 years old. Drafted the Rule 5 selection by the Mets this winter out of the Orioles chain. You know, with Baltimore, he was up and down as a starter reliever. He made 20 starts in 2009 and then strictly bullpen work for him last year in AA in Bowie. He's got a 2-1 to Desmond.
Should do it.
Fastball tapper. Turner puts it away, and Beato does the job. The plate 6 in Port St. Lucie. All Mets. This ball is brought to you by Acura. Acura Advance. We move to the home 6th inning. Left-hander Doug Slayton, 31-year-old, comes on to pitch for the Nationals.
Well, like I said, one of the 2 left-handers out of the pen, and you can see the year that he had last year. You can see he's a specialist. Lefty's hitting 151 against him.
Luis Hernandez will get his first at-bat of the game. He will lead it off. And joining us from the Mets dugout is Chris Capuano, who was just outstanding today. Chris, it's Kevin and Keith upstairs, and your longest outing of the spring, your best outing of the spring. It just seemed like you had outstanding tempo for number one right from the beginning. How'd you feel out there?
You know, I felt good today. I started to rush a few pitches there in the last 2 innings, started to overthrow a little bit. And but, you know, other than that, I was happy with the way I threw the ball.
Chris, it's Keith. Early in the game, the first 2 innings, it seemed to me like you established inside on the right-hand hitters with your fastball, which then opens the rest of the plate up for you.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you know, I don't have an overpowering fastball, but you know, it's usually good enough to get in there on the right-handers, and you really do have to command both sides of the plate and own both sides of the plate. And for me, if I can establish early that I'm going to throw strikes in there, you're right, it does keep me from diving away and getting hits later in the game.
Chris, you got to the middle of the game there, and you struck out 4 to 5 batters at one point. I mean, when you're going good, you have gotten strikeouts in the past. Is there particularly one pitch where you'll see that happen for you, or not, or you'll mix it around and get it with a few different pitches?
You know, I mean, for the most part, I prefer to have him put it in play early and try to keep the pitch count down. But usually the changeup has been a good pitch for me. That fastball in can lock hitters up sometimes if I can hit that spot. You really got to hit the spot exactly, though, because the umps don't give you a lot of leeway coming inside. But, you know, I try to mix it up and not be too predictable.
You know, this is a team you're going to face a lot this year. There's no doubt about that. And you know, the last time you pitched against them, you pitched well as Murphy has to jump out of the way a little bit there. You pitched well against these guys last time you were on the mound here at Port St. Lucie, too. And in that game, you let up a home run to Mike Morse. So you see a guy like that, guy you're going to see a lot this year, a right-handed batter. Do you take that into consideration and try to, how do you work to a guy like that? I mean, you know, you're going to see him a lot. Do you show him everything you got? What is your approach in a spring game like that against a guy like Morse, who you're going to see a lot this year?
Well, early in spring training, you know, you're working on stuff. For me, I'm working on my fastball command, and I had a little trouble that day when I was going away to the right-handers. I was pulling everything back over the plate, and he's got long arms. If he gets extended out away from him, you know, he's going to hit it a long way. So, you know, try to pitch accordingly to a guy like that. I think you can elevate on him. I think you can, you know, pitch him backwards a little bit. But, you know, you try to just learn from those earlier outings. But at this point in spring, you're starting to compete a little more and trying to get guys out.
Chris, you got to be happy you kept the ball down today. You went up occasionally to get a strikeout. You elevated out of the strike zone. So, but on the whole, you kept your pitches down today, and that's what I thought was impressive, because you've got good sink, and that makes that everything much more effective. Obviously, if you're up with your sinking pitches, they're going to flatten out.
No, you're exactly right. You know, we're down as our foundation, and we go up by design, as Mike Maddox, my old pitching coach, used to say. But I do like pitching up. I like to, you know, sometimes as pitchers we can get so focused on left, right, in, out that we kind of forget to change eye levels. So I think it's important to show them up at some point in the game.
Yeah, Chris, you know, Mets have used the DH for a lot of this spring training. As Justin Turner rifles one to right, and it's hauled in by Ankiel out there. They'll throw it back to first, and Murphy's back in. But anyway, you know, teams use the DH a lot of this spring. You get out there and hit today. I mean, as a pitcher, from a hitting standpoint, I mean, is there anything particular? Do you even look at that part of the game right now? Certain things, I know you tried to bunt a couple times. Where are you with that part of the game? Obviously, you do have to hit in the National League.
Well, I thought BP from Al Jackson on Field 7 was going to get me ready for today, but I was a little off the ball. But you know, mainly at this point, we really work on getting our bunts down. I thought about laying a bunt down on that last at bat, but you know, it's just good to see the ball, see live pitching. And, you know, but like I said, the most important thing we focus on a day-to-day basis on all our drills is just getting those bunts down, being able to handle the bat. And anything we do hitting-wise is a bonus. But, you know, we do work on it because it's good to help yourself.
Jesus Feliciano now with 2 down. As we talk to Chris Capuano. Chris, we're 2 weeks away from opening day. What's the feeling of this team right now? Describe the mood in the clubhouse and how this team is getting ready for Florida on April the 1st.
Well, I mean, it's just been a really positive environment all spring, and you know, I don't know any different coming in here, but I think the organization has a lot of good people at every level of the organization: players, coaches, management, and you know, real positive, real good expectations this year. So, yeah, we're hoping to have a special season.
Chris, pleasure to watch today. Thanks for the time, okay?
Thank you.
Chris Capuano outstanding today. Mets in control. sailing away. Well, the sailboats are out today. Check out the score of the Mets split squad game in Orlando, 3-3. Pat Mish went 5 in that game, allowed 4 hits, 3 runs, all earned. 2-run home run by Brooks Conrad. Struck out 2. Ike Davis, an RBI single. Willie Harris, a solo home run. Here it's been all Mets. Chris Capuano, we just talked to, was terrific. 5 2/3, 3 hits, 5 Ks. Here it's Pedro Beato now. Came in and got the final out of the 6th inning and starts fresh in the 7th against the big bopper, Michael Morse. And warming in the Mets pen, Ali Perez, who will go back-to-back days. See what he's got. Morse the other way. This one is deep, and this one's over the head of the right fielder. It's going to be a double. There's Lorenzo Scott in right field now. Colin Balliser warming for the Nationals.
A bit of a wind-blown double right there. The youngster out there in right field got turned around.
Seven players Mets brought over from the minor league side because of the split squad. So Lorenzo Scott just checked in. He is one of them. Morse on second to lead it off for the Nationals here in the 7th. Rick Ankiel 0 for 2 at the plate. Has thrown a runner out on defense, so at home plate. Threw Nick Evans out at home with that strong arm and right. And Keel is looking more and more like he could be the everyday center. Well, not every day, because he probably wouldn't play against lefties too much, but he could be the starting center fielder for the Nationals. They just love his defense a little bit more than Nyjer Morgan. And Keith, you talked about it early in the game. This is a team that was putrid on D last year. They're trying to change that. They feel like Espinoza at second could be better. They feel like Ankiel in center could help them. They bring in Adam LaRoche. First base is certainly going to help them.
Well, they had to also get some hitters in there. They lost Dunn. Adam Dunn, obviously, to free agency, went to the White Sox. That's a big bopper in that middle of that order. So, and they're going to be a lineup, if you look at it right now, they're going to be predominantly a right-hand hitting lineup with Desmond, Zimmerman, Ivan Rodriguez. Roger Bernardino is probably going to be their left fielder. Jason Worth in right. You know, the left-handers in that lineup are only Ankiel or Nyjer Morgan or I should say, and LaRoche.
You know what, though? I mean, you talk about Dunn. Certainly, you can't replace 40 home runs. But they do add Jason Worth. They had Bernardino and a host of others in right field last year. And they add LaRoche at first. So they should get decent production from both those guys. You know, it's Adam Dunn, you can't replace what he does on offense. But you know, I think maybe they filled in a lot of offensive holes with those guys and certainly got better on defense. Both those guys are good defensive players. Worth and Wright and LaRoche at first.
And you've also got Ankiel, who's outstanding defensively. It's the infield where their defense is shaky outside of Mr. Zimmerman. The corners are fine with LaRoche and Zimmerman, the Gold Glover. But up the middle, they're a little shaky in the middle infield.
Keith, what do you think about Worth? He signs that 7-year, $126 million monster deal that shocked the baseball world. And he's a guy that has been, look, he's been an excellent player for Philly. I mean, he's a great defensive player. He'll steal bases. He's clutch. But he was not the #1 guy. And I know this is still Ryan Zimmerman's team, but, you know, there's no way not to be a #1 guy when you sign a $126 million contract. So what do you think about Worth and what he can be as the highlighted guy and trying to live up to that contract?
Well, at 7 years, he's 32 years old. They're going to sign him through 39. That was a bit of a shock. As Terry Collins comes out to the mound, I think he's going to make a pitching change. This is perfect with the left-hand hitters to bring in Ollie with men on base where he can't afford to walk anybody. So this is a real situational move right here. So we'll see what happens.
Meanwhile, Beato got the 1 out. Couldn't get any here in the 7th, though. It's Ollie's show when we come back.
Oliver Perez comes into a jam. This will be an interesting test for Perez, trying to win the lefty specialist role in this bullpen now. Nobody out, 2 on. They got on against Pedro Beato, and here's Jeff Frazier, right-handed hitter. And Keith, yesterday against Atlanta, against the lefties, Ollie did a nice job and looked good because he dropped down. And then David Ross came up and he went back to 3/4 and wasn't anywhere near the plate.
Oh, he's over the top now, too, against the right. Here's a little sidearm there.
But this is a pretty good test. Take a look at the difference. Here's Oliver against Hayward. The slider, lefty, tough pitch.
Backup slider that jams Hinsky. Walked the right-hander on 4 pitches.
Meanwhile, Frazier jacks one deep to left field. This one's got a chance, and it's gone. A 3-run home run for Jeff Frazier. And Perez faces the righty. It doesn't fare well. The Nationals on the board.
Well, this is what spring's all about here. And you saw Terry Collins, the manager, brought in Oliver with a situation with men on base. And it's ahead in the count. A little fastball out over the plate. Went down and got it.
Jeff Frazier originally out of Point Pleasant, New Jersey, played on the Toms River Little League team that got to the World Series. Also is a good player for Rutgers. And you just see, Keith, there's a difference. I mean, he's looked good in this bullpen role out of lefties, but then against the righty, it's just a different game for Perez now.
Well, don't forget, a lot of those numbers are when Ollie threw 95. Now, and there was not a lot of margin for error for Ollie against right-handers throwing 95.
And Brian Bixler, right-handed, hits one deep to left field. This is way gone. Wow. Back-to-back home runs, and that one wasn't even close. Off Oliver Perez. It's 7-4 New York.
Slider hanging down Broadway. So I got to believe here this is disastrous for Ollie trying to make this ball clip.
Yeah, this is a killer for him. Yeah, there's no question. I mean, Alberto Gonzalez, another right-handed batter now. You know, look, the Mets' plan about this, and they expressed this to Oliver Perez, was he's going to get a chance. Roy Merritt, a little side-arming lefty. The Mets system. Over here today, up the middle. Louis Hernandez. Strong throw. One down. You know, Keith, the process, though. You know, Terry Collins and Sandy Alderson gave Perez a chance that he wanted to win a spot in the starting rotation. It wasn't great. Young and Capiano have been great. That was over with. And then the next progression, you got a chance to earn your spot in the bullpen. Can't get righties out, so chance to be a lefty specialist. No one has really distinguished himself. I mean, Burdack O'Connor pitched well. And this one by Derek Norris hit a million miles into the air and deep, but playable. And Feliciano will haul in for the second out. So now it's down to the point where he has done well against lefties, but he's at that, you know, that one at bat type of thing against lefties. Clearly now with the righties in there, he's had no success yesterday or today. And the question becomes, is he now the best available guy to get one left-handed hitter, regardless of salary or anything else? That's what it comes down to. If you're going to get one guy to get a left-handed hitter out, is it going to be Perez or Burdack or O'Connor?
Well, I'll only say one thing, and that is, I remember Whitey Herzog saying that you've got relievers coming in out into the game with runners on base. He always looks at the first batter. You cannot walk. You're coming in with ducks on the pond. You got to throw strikes and get that first out. And with Ollie, that's a question mark. And I just think that this outing right here for Ollie is devastating. Devastating for his chances to make this club.
I don't think you're overstating. This was a big day for Oliver Perez because yesterday he did so well.
And going on back-to-back days, which, let's face it, as a lefty specialist, you can go 5 days in a row. He had to prove he can do it. He's proved anything but. And now the walk, as you talked about, to Bernardino. Take a look at the home runs, Keith.
Well, one's a little lower than the other. One's a little further away. And you can see they're both down. This one's right down the pipe. Not good. That one's a little more away. Not a bad pitch. The guy went down and got it.
Frazier was waiting on it. He almost stepped into it and teed it up.
And the fly ball to the second out of the inning, that fly ball to the warning track that was caught was just got under. Could have been 3 bombs.
Yeah, Derek Norris hit a shot there. Perez is trying to get out of it now. And let's remember, Beato did not start the inning well. Another guy trying to make this club. He got a double to Morse and then a walk for he was yanked. So the Mets pen, which has been terrific, today hits a stumbling block after a great start from Capuano. Paulino blocks it. And all of a sudden, by the way, the Nationals are back in the game. It's 7-4. A 3-run home run from Jeff Frazier. A solo home run from Brian Bixler. Off Oliver Perez. Espinosa behind that pitch, 2-2. Bernardino on first. Well, Keith, yesterday, the Mets cutting Louis Castillo and showing you that they're going to try to put the best team on the field, whoever they believe that is, and they obviously ate a lot of salary, $6 million worth, and now they're going to be facing that same question with Oliver Perez as the bullet knocks down Hernandez. Espinosa reaches, and now the Nationals have batted around. They're going to be facing the same exact question here. Oliver Perez, will that be his last pitch as a New York Met? Not a good outing for Perez. We'll be back. (7-4) Mets. Disaster striking, though, in that inning. Still in it, by the way, here in the 7th with 2 down. Oliver Perez giving up 2 home runs to right-handed batters, walking a lefty. And who knows what's in store next for Oliver Perez. His ERA this spring, 8.38, and this was a biggie. He came off back-to-back good performances out of the bullpen today. They brought him into a situation with first and second and nobody out, and he did not get the job done. Allowed 2 long home runs, and he's exited stage left. Roy Merritt, lefty side armor on in relief for the Mets. Pitched in Double-A Binghamton last year. A quick cup of coffee in Buffalo as well.
I did not know you were a Snagglepuss fan. With the exit stage left.
You like that?
Yes. I haven't heard that one in a long time.
Narrett working Ian Desmond here. Goes Bernardina, no chance. What do you think Oliver Perez is thinking right now?
Well, he's not having good thoughts, that's for sure. You know, it's tough. I've been when I was in Cleveland, and I knew I was finished. You know, it's the end of the road, and it's not fun. It's not an enviable position, obviously. I mean, I was embarrassed out there when I was in Cleveland, and going in through the American League. They never saw me play, and I was a shell of what I was.
2-1. Does he go around? Yes. 2-2 to Ian Desmond.
But then again, I was 38 then. Not 28.
Perez is clearly at a crossroads, not just for his Mets career, but for his career in general. There's no question. 2-2, and he got him. Nice pitch by Roydrick Merritt, but the damage is done. Mets lead by 3.
Welcome back to Digital Domain Ballpark here at Port St. Lucie on a beautiful, beautiful Florida afternoon. Mets ahead 7-4. Boy, I'd like to be on that boat. And there's the new national pitcher, Colin Ballister, who pitched, as you can see, in 17 games last season, came up late. He's got decent stuff. He's going to be on this bullpen, make the ball club, and be out there in the bullpen for this Nationals team. A bullpen in the past that has been awful, but last year they made a lot of great strides in their bullpen. And got one of these minor leaguers up here, Matt Dendecker. Welcome back. You feeling all right?
Buddy.
You're not feeling too good, huh?
You can been better.
You can take a break. I'll pick you up.
Yeah, you always pick me up.
Go on home.
Really?
Yeah, sure. Go.
All right. Frankie Rodriguez.
I got that kind of pull.
Frankie Rodriguez warming up for the Mets. We play in the home 7th.
Well, the old double flaps. Just never can get used to it in the big leagues. Never can get used to it. It's just like, I'm not saying this disparagingly. It looks like you're in the little leagues. And this kid is very baby-faced, isn't he?
A guy that they really like. Good center fielder. Mets drafted last year. It does look a little different, no question about it.
Oh, it's just, I just can't get used to it. See, when I came up my rookie year, they made you wear the side flap your rookie year. And then you had, after that rookie year, you could wear whatever helmet you wanted. And from that point on, I never wore even the flap. But they made you, as a rookie, wear one of the side flap.
Why?
It was just a rule.
3-1 to Den Decker. Skies one deep to right.
Nice swing. I like that swing you put on that ball.
And instead, it's going to be handled in center by Roger Bernardina. That's the first out here of the 7th. The chance to see Lorenzo Scott for the first time in the game. Called over from minor league camp.
You know how exciting that is for those kids right now to get up off a big league pitcher?
And Ballister is a guy who will make this Nationals team in the bullpen.
I remember when I was in the minor leagues, and you'd always get, if you wanted to go take the bus down on 4th Street, which in St. Petersburg, they'd leave you, you'd be able to get tickets and watch the spring training game. The Cardinals were wherever they were playing, and it was so exciting. I was 18 years old, and it was just so much fun to be in spring and watch the big leaguers, and hoping that one day you'd make it.
That must have been neat. Back at Al Lang Field, Cardinals and the Mets.
They shared, yes. Right? It was always opening day, and spring training was the Cardinal Mets. You played them 2 days in a row. One time it was the Mets were the home team. The next day the Cardinals were the home team.
So the Cardinals have with the Marlins now in Jupiter, Florida.
So you know what that meant, don't you? Opening day in spring training. You've got Tom Seaver. You know what that meant in game 2? You've got Jerry Kuzman. Nice start of your day, your spring training. Facing those two guys.
If you weren't behind already, that's a heck of a way to start. Lorenzo Scott is sent down by Ballister. Mets single game tickets for the 2011 season at Citi Field on sale now. Tickets start at $10. Visit Mets.com. Call 718-507-TIXX. Get your tickets today.
There's Jerry.
Southpaw.
He had a great hook, boy, and he had a heavy, boring fastball. And he knew how to pitch, and he had a little mean streak in him too. Wasn't afraid to dust you.
Josh Satin getting a chance now. See what he did in the minor leagues last year. Ballister deals for a strike. A couple notes, Keith, around the game. You know, Joe Mauer making his catching debut today for the Twins. There's some worry about him as caught with a knee issue, but he's catching today. And they're still a little worried about Justin Morneau, who's playing but still working his way back from that concussion. But obviously they need those guys to be successful. Flying out to left is Satin. Mets are done in the 7th, still with a 3-run lead.
Seinfeld's coming to Pix 11. It's a show about nothing. That's more refreshing than a box of Junior Mints. Back-to-back Seinfeld weeknights starting Monday at 11 on Pix 11. Mendy's, Jerry. 2 Mendy's. Laugh at that show every single time I watch it. Frankie Rodriguez been stellar this spring, and he's in for his 7th appearance.
It's all about Frankie's health. It's the thumb surgery in the offseason. Said it's fine. He's ahead of the game. He's got his command on his curveball, his changeup. Got the big motion like he's going to throw it through a brick wall, and he can, but he can also just pull the string on you.
Here's Mike Morse. And Morse has been held somewhat in check today. He's got just a double and a run, considering he had 3 home runs already against the Mets this spring. That's progress. Capuano did a good job against him, retired him twice. Here's Frankie Rodriguez, and a little tapper that rolls foul. Morse, just earlier this week, had officially won the left field battle for Jim Riggleman. And this is a guy, you know, you look at him, and last year he finally was healthy, got a chance. He hit 15 home runs, 41 RBIs, and 266 at-bats. And you think maybe at age 28, this could be the breakout time for Mike Morse. Similar to Angel Pagan, you know, injuries and opportunity never really presented itself until now. And he's trying to take advantage, and he gets drilled.
Well, that ball bites you. You'd rather get hit up there in the shoulder and the arm than in the elbow or the wrist or the hands. But the wrist was just always a tough spot to get hit.
Alex Cintron, the veteran, the Mets system last year. Keith, mentioned last inning, just went around the league a little bit talking about Joe Mauer and Justin Morneau. Today also of note, kind of interesting, Jake Peavy, former Padre. Mets fans certainly saw him and seemingly pitched well every time against the Mets. Now in the American League, and last year had a pretty horrific type injury. I mean, he tore his lat muscle tendon right from the bone. So essentially, where the back muscle connects to your shoulder blade, it was torn apart. And he had experimental surgery last July after rupturing that tendon. What they did, it's never been done before in a pitcher. They put a series of stitches in titanium anchors that reattach the tendon to the bone. And they kind of have a fishhook type thing, like a reverse barb. So once they're in, they can't come back out. Peavy's been great this spring. He's making his 4th start of the spring today off of that experimental first-time surgery. I mean, you know, normally something like that, and he'd be done. Now getting a second chance. Popped up. Who's going to make the catch? Diving.
Nice.
Wow, nice play out there by Matt Den Decker. I told you the Mets love the way he played center field. He makes the basket catch just barely.
He got it. Nice play. Well, he almost could have got hurt out there. Very nice. Those left-handers, I tell you.
Frankie likes it. On a way that'll bring up Jeff Frazier. Look at Den Decker. 5th round pick out of Florida. The Mets selected him last year in the draft. And they really like what he brings to the table. Gulf Coast League, a little bit of Savannah last year. Savannah, he tore it up in low A ball, 346. Den. Love the way he plays center field. He's got real good range, real good arm. I mean, you know, it's funny. So many guys, so many outfielders now are drafted, but there's not a ton of natural center fielders who are out there. And the Mets think that they have one with Den Decker. Jeff Frazier with a crushing blow off of Oliver Perez, a 3-run home run his last time up. This one to right, and Lorenzo Scott, puts it down, 2 down. Storylines of today as ex-Met Alex Cora
will get his first at bat here. Storylines: Chris Capuano, 5 2/3, his longest outing in the spring. Outstanding. No runs, 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, no walks. He was as good as the line, too. Pedro Beato came in and finished the 6th. Couldn't retire the first 2 batters, though, in the 7th, as Tim Burdack warms up. And so Oliver Perez came in with 2 on and nobody out. Faced the righty, Jeff Frazier, gave up a 3-run bomb. The next batter was Brian Bixler, who hit one a mile. Another home run off Perez. Ended up issuing another walk and couldn't get out of the inning. Perez addressing reporters moments ago, saying it was a really, really bad outing. Well, yes, it was. And for him, you wonder just how much leeway he has going forward. As Cora takes inside on the breaking ball from Rodriguez. Alex Cora seems to be a good fit for these Nationals. I mean, they've got 2 guys in the middle infield who are young and they hope will be there for a long, long time. And Ian Desmond and Danny Espinoza, and Cora's a good guy to have around and try and help get those guys to the next level. Certainly has to make the team, though, which is not totally assured. This one up the box. Luis Hernandez, good stop. The long throw. Not in time. Good try by Luis Hernandez. Couldn't make it all happen, so Cora's got the infield hit.
Well, nice play up the middle. Nice strong throw, too.
Lance Nix in the mix for the Nationals to get some playing time for this team, make this team off the bench. It's pro. He's been around for a while now and trying to make another ball club this season with 2 down and 2 on. Mets up by 3. Nix the tying run against Francisco Rodriguez in the 8th. Outside ball 1. Missing there. Frankie's been ultra sharp all spring, not quite as today. Adrian Alanis warming up. Just foul. Oh, got it. This could be tricky. She doesn't have any takers for the plastic bag, it seems. 2-1 to Lance Nix. They play in the 8th. 2 on, 2 down. K-Rod delivers with a strike. Blocked by Paulino. And count goes full against Lance Nix here. I think this is the first time that Rodriguez is throwing to Ronnie Paulino. Not sure if he's caught him yet on backfield, so maybe a little bit of that working out the kinks. 3-2 pitch. No problem there. Breaking ball, and Nix goes down swinging. Mets holding on to a 3-run lead. By Lexus, escape convention in the radically new Lexus CT Hybrid by MJHS, a pioneering integrated health system since 1907, carrying every minute, every day. By Ford, check out the best-selling vehicles with the best values in America. Drive one at your Tri-State Ford dealer today.
Ronnie Paulino getting an at-bat here. Of course, visa problems here late. He needs to get at-bats. And Paulino is going to get a lot of playing time against tough lefties. This has always been his role. Roy didn't get a chance to play every day until last year when John Baker went down for the Marlins, left-hand hitter.
And then he might have gotten overexposed. You know, he's always been a nice play at second base.
Well, I'll say. Throwing from the knee, more impressive. This is a nice play, getting to it, but the nice throw from the off balance.
Alex Cintron making that happen. You know, Keith, he's always been good against left-handers, but last year you hit it. When Baker went down, it changed the dynamic for him, and he played a lot more, and it didn't have the same results. But here he's going to spell Josh against lefties. Question is, do you let Josh play against lefties at all?
Yes, I think so. He's young.
You do want him to hit him at this stage, right?
Exactly. If he's in a slump or he needs an off day because of catchers, you're not going to catch him 162. You'll pick your spot against a real difficult, tough lefty. But he needs to hit off left-handers. He can hit lefties.
Jose Coronado is the batter, batting for the pitcher in this spot, Frankie Rodriguez. Coronado, shortstop in the minors for the Mets. We're talking about Paulino. And his numbers give you an idea. Against right-handed pitchers in his career, he's a .245 hitter. Against left-handed pitchers in his career, he's a .338 hitter. That is quite the difference. Just mashes against lefties. 2-1 to Coronado as a strike. And Colin Ballister. Keith, you see the gesture by Ichiro? He, obviously the images that continue to come out of Japan are just horrifying. Seems like they don't get any better by the day, but Coronado takes a breaking ball, strike 3, and there's 2 down. Ichiro, who's basically a national hero in Japan, donated $1.24 million to the Japanese Red Cross. That's a major league donation.
Very nice.
And the Mariners donated almost $4 million themselves, and they're going to have the first home series. They're going to do a series of things too to raise money as well.
See where Bobby Valentine is involved in raising money, and the ballpark that he managed at is in jeopardy of just disappearing underwater. It's just awful.
It's a situation that's so bad, where do you start? I mean, it's just horrendous. So commendable job by Ichiro and the Mariners. Luis Hernandez rifles one back up the box. He's got his first hit and his second at bat today. 2-out base runner for the Mets. Meanwhile, another guy in that second base competition, Daniel Murphy, good day at the plate. He's got 3 hits, 3 for 4, an RBI. Now it's the average of 349 this spring. Not that time for Murph. Mets will try and close out the Nationals when we come back.
A high flow
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Tostitos, Lay's Classic and Sun Chips. We make them natural, you make them fun. And by Audi, truth in engineering. Tim Burdak's on, trying to close it out for the Mets here in the 9th.
Well, and the left-hander, former Houston Astro, another left-handed specialist
in the mix for that role. And Taylor Tankersley has already been set to minor league camp, so he's not in the mix anymore. So really what you're looking at, Burdak, the former national Mike O'Connor, has pitched well and scored upon, as is Burdak this spring, and Oliver Perez. And you'd have to think that Perez's status changed today. He had been good the couple outings against lefties. Yesterday, though, showed you against righties a different story. And then today really showed you that. Came in and 2 men on, tried to bring him into a pressure situation, and he let up 2 bombs, a 3-run home run and a solo home run right after that. Both righty batters. And that's going to put a severe dent in Oliver Perez, no question. 1-2 now to Derek Norris. Almost hit a 3rd home run off Perez in that last inning. He's caught just in front of the track and left. Mets roster stands at 36. Obviously, you got to get it down to 25 by opening day. Burdak's 1-2. Got him.
high slider right here. Wanted it down. Tied him up. What was a fastball? Beat him inside. Roger Bernardino hit the 2 home runs last year at City. Remember that terrific game he had? I said, who's this guy?
Well, the one off K-Rod in the 9th, remember?
Yep.
He's got a heck of a lot of athletic gifts from the Netherlands. Just trying to find a spot. And he's in the mix, too, for a center field job. But right now, Rick Ankiel has the lead in that department. Ooh, Bernardino still has room for development, so could be a case where you get him down and let him develop into be more of a natural center fielder. Get more experience there anyway. He's got electric speed. It's one thing to his advantage. Slider strike 2. Tim Burdack just keeps on doing his thing. At age 38, he's a guy that's held lefties to a .202 average in his career. The Mets are searching for after not retaining the services of Pedro Feliciano. Meanwhile, another lefty in this bullpen mix, Pat Mish, started today for the Mets split squad in Orlando. Went 5 innings, allowed 4 hits, 3 runs, a 2-run home run in that mix to Brooks Conrad, too. Right side, Coronado throws out Bernardino, and the Nationals are down to their final out. That'll be Matt Antonelli, the final hope for the Nats. As we play here in the 9th, Mets behind Chris Capuano, who went 5 2/3 today. Daniel Murphy had 3 hits at the plate. Nick Evans had a 2-run double. Scott Hairston, a 3-run triple, continuing his great spring. Here to center, Dan Decker puts it away. Mets put away a 7-4 win. Mets pick up their 11th win of the spring. They're now 11-11-1. You got a great start out of Chris Capuano and a horrible relief outing from Oliver Perez today. Those are the big storylines here from Port St. Lucie. Meanwhile, Burdack just keeps cruising along, doing his job. There you see the numbers. They beat Jason Marquis. Scott Hairston just hitting every ball on a rope. A 3-run triple 2 for 3. Mets win it 7-4. We'll wrap it up when we come back.